Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Boss Economics World, the only show that takes the dismal science of economics and turns it into a full-blown circus of cash, chaos, and capitalism. I'm your host, the Sultan of Supply and Demand, the Maestro of Markets, and the guy who knows inflation isn't just what happens to your ego after a TikTok goes viral. Today, we're diving headfirst into a Washington dumpster fire that's hotter than a crypto bros Limbo parked in the Nevada desert. Buckle up, because we're talking Trump, the Fed, and a whole lot of economic shenanigans. Let's go! Alright, folks, it's August 28, 2025, and the economic drama is spicier than a $5 avocado toast at a Brooklyn hipster cafe. Here's the deal: President Donald Trump, yes, that guy, the one who thinks tariffs are the economic equivalent of a mic drop, has decided to stir the pot at the Federal Reserve. His top economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, the man who once tried to convince us tax cuts pay for themselves, spoiler alert, they don't, is out here telling Fed Governor Lisa Cook to take a hike. Or, in his words, take a leave of absence while her status on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors is being litigated. Oh, and why? Because Trump sent her a letter saying, "You're fired." Effective immediately. Sound familiar? It's like The Apprentice but with higher stakes and worse haircuts. Now, Lisa Cook, being the badass economist she is, said, excuse me, Mr. President, but you don't have the authority to fire me, and I'm gonna fight this in court. The Fed, meanwhile, is sitting on the sidelines, sipping its decaf latte, saying, we'll just wait for the courts to figure this out. And Hassett? Oh, he's out here doubling down, claiming the president absolutely has the right to fire a Fed governor for cause. Cause, you ask? Allegations from a White House ally that Cook fudged some mortgage applications. Oof. Sounds like a reality TV plot twist, but it's real life, folks. And it's got massive economic implications. So, let's break this down, Boss Economics World style, from the surface-level drama to the deep, dark economic underbelly. Grab your popcorn, your calculators, and maybe a stress ball, because this is gonna get wild. First up, let's talk about the obvious. This is political meddling in the Federal Reserve, and it's about as subtle as a bull in a china shop, or, in Trump's case, a bull in a McDonald's drive-thru. The Fed is supposed to be independent, folks. That means it's not the president's personal piggy bank or his private cheerleading squad. Its job is to set monetary policy, think interest rates, inflation control, and keeping the economy from imploding without political interference. But here comes Trump, swinging his executive sledgehammer, trying to fire a Fed governor because of some mortgage application drama. And let's not forget, Hassett is out here openly musing about becoming the next Fed chairman. Coincidence? I think not. Now, why does this matter? Because Fed independence is the bedrock of economic stability. When politicians start meddling, bad things happen. Just look at history. Remember the 1970s? President Nixon pressured Fed Chairman Arthur Burns to keep interest rates low to juice the economy before the 1972 election. The result? Runaway inflation, stagflation, and an economic mess that took a decade to clean up. Inflation hit 12% by 1974, folks, and unemployment was through the roof. And guess what? Recent data shows that countries with less central bank independence, like Turkey, where President Erdogan has fired multiple central bank governors, see way higher inflation. In 2023, Turkey's inflation rate hit 85%. 85%. You'd need a wheelbarrow of cash just to buy a kebab. Is that what we want here? I don't think so. But wait, there's more. This isn't just about Trump versus Cook or some juicy mortgage scandal. This is about trust, baby, trust in our economic institutions. The Fed's credibility is already on thin ice. Let's be real, after years of ultra-low interest rates, quantitative easing, and inflation spiking to 9.1% in June 2022, the highest in 40 years, people are already side-eyeing the Fed like it's a used car salesman trying to sell a lemon. And now, with Trump trying to fire a governor, that trust is eroding faster than a sandcastle in a tsunami. Check this out, folks. According to a Gallup poll from 2024, only 36% of Americans had confidence in the Federal Reserve. That's lower than Congress, and Congress is about as popular as a root canal without anesthesia. And Pew Research in 2025 found that 62% of Americans think the Fed is too influenced by politics. Now, imagine what happens if Trump gets his way and starts firing Fed governors left and right. Investors panic, markets tank, and inflation expectations go haywire. Why? Because if the Fed isn't independent, it can't credibly commit to fighting inflation. And when inflation expectations get unanchored, you get a vicious cycle. Just look at Argentina. Its central bank has been a political puppet for years, and inflation hit 211% in 2023. 211%. Your morning coffee would cost more than your car payment. Now, let's talk about the real-world fallout, because this isn't just a Washington soap opera, it's an economic horror movie. If Trump succeeds in firing Cook, or even if this legal battle drags on, markets are gonna freak out. Why? Because uncertainty is the kryptonite of financial markets. Investors hate it, businesses hate it, and your 401k hates it. Just look at what happened in 2018 when Trump publicly attacked Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, calling him crazy for raising interest rates. the S&P 500 dropped 6% in a single month. And that was just trash talk. Imagine what happens if he actually fires a governor. And here's the kicker, folks, we're already in a precarious spot. As of August 2025, the Fed is still trying to tame inflation, which is hovering around 3.5% above its 2% target, according to the latest Bureau of Labor Statistics data. Meanwhile, the economy is showing signs of slowing down. The Conference Board's leading economic index has been declining for 6 straight months, signaling a potential recession. And now, Trump's meddling could force the Fed into a corner. If markets think the Fed is losing its independence, they'll demand higher interest rates to compensate for the risk of runaway inflation. That means higher borrowing costs for businesses, higher mortgage rates for you, and a bigger chance of a hard economic landing. Oh, and speaking of mortgages, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate is already at 6.8% as of July 2025, according to Freddie Mac. Want to buy a house? Good luck, your monthly payment just went up by $500 compared to 2 years ago. But wait, there's an even bigger picture here, folks, and it's global. The US dollar is the world's reserve currency, which means everyone from Beijing to Berlin uses it for trade, debt, and hoarding cash. Why? Because the US has stable institutions, including an independent federal. But if Trump keeps meddling, that stability gets called into question. And guess what? Other countries are already looking for alternatives. China's been pushing its digital yuan, and the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are talking about creating their own currency for trade. In 2024, 22% of global trade was settled in non-dollar currencies, up from 15% in 2020, according to the Bank for International Settlements. If the dollar loses its dominance, we're looking at higher borrowing costs, a weaker economy, and a lot less global clout. Trump might think he's playing 4D chess, but he's really just knocking over the board. So, what's the takeaway from this clown show, folks? First, Fed independence isn't just some boring econ jargon, it's the glue holding our economy together. Second, trust in institutions matters, and Trump's meddling is like throwing a Molotov cocktail into a fireworks factory. And third, the fallout could be global, threatening everything from your mortgage to the dollar's dominance. But hey, maybe this is all part of Trump's master plan to make America great again by turning the Fed into his personal ATM and the economy into a reality TV show. Who needs boring old monetary policy when you've got drama, intrigue, and a Twitter account, am I right? Alright, folks, that's all for today's episode of Boss Economics World. Remember, in the circus of capitalism, the clowns are always in charge, but it's up to you to keep your wallet out of the lion's mouth. Until next time, keep hustling, keep investing, and keep laughing, because if you don't, the economy sure will. Cha-cha-cha.